It's already live. So.
Jashodanandana Brajajanna Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanna Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanna Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramanusa Paribrajagacharya Sattvadesh Smadhati Dhanta Sarasvati Goswami Bhagavati Jaya Ananta Kodi Vaishnavini ki Jaya Ramacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jaya Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jaya Shri Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khund Radha Khund Giri Vardhan ki Jaya Vrindavan Dham ki Jaya Navadvip Dham ki Jaya Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए और ग्लोरी टू देयर और ग्लोरी टू देयर थैंक यू वेरी मच
Haribo.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, Her Grace Citi Shakti Devi. And all glories to the Samud Vaishnavi devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here. Today is Monday, the first day of the busy week. And we are honored to have Her Grace with us. My dear sweet sister, thank you for being here. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
I don't know what it's coming across like to you. Is there too much sunlight from the back, or it's okay?
It's okay.
It's okay? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
We all love the sunlight.
Yes. Sure, no problem.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're going to make you a co-host in case
Sure.
you may want to share.
Yes, I can share the screen, then we can do the verse.
Yes. Yes. All right. So, yeah, you may take it over from here, Mother Chidi.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
So, Hare Krishna, everybody. So today we are going to continue with Canto 3, Chapter 9, and we're doing verse 25. So I'm just going to share my screen with you. Can you all see this clearly?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I'll recite the verse, I'll read the purport, and then we will do Mangalarchanam. Sosavata prakaruno bhagavan viviridha premasmitena nayam buruham vijrimbhan uthaya vishva vijayaya chano vishadham madhvyagira panaya tat purushaha purunaha. The Lord, who is supreme and is the oldest of all, is unlimitedly merciful. I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction upon me by opening his lotus eyes. He can uplift the entire cosmic creation and remove our dejection by kindly speaking his directions. And this is Lord Brahma speaking. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. The Lord is ever increasingly merciful upon the fallen souls of this material world. The whole cosmic manifestation is a chance for all to improve themselves in devotional service to the Lord, and everyone is meant for that purpose. The Lord expands himself into many personalities who are either self-expansions or separated expansions. The personalities of the individual souls are his separated expansions, whereas the self-expansions are the Lord himself. The self-expansions are predominators, and the separated expansions are predominated for reciprocation of transcendental bliss with the supreme form of bliss and knowledge. The liberated souls can join in this blissful reciprocation of predominator and predominated without materially concocted ideas. The typical example of such a transcendental exchange between the predominator and the predominated is the Lord's Rasa Leela with the gopis. The gopis are predominated expansions of the internal potency, and therefore the Lord's participation in the Rasa Leela dance is never to be considered like the mundane relationship of man and woman. It is rather the highest perfectional stage of the exchange of feelings between the Lord and the living entities. The Lord gives the fallen souls the chance for this highest perfection of life. Lord Brahma is entrusted with the management of the complete cosmic show, and therefore he prays that the Lord bestow his blessings upon him so that he may execute its purpose. Please join me in Mangalarchanam. Om Gyan Timirandasya Yananjana
Shalakaya
Chakshurmilitam Tasmai
Shri Guru
Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gatamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'll just repeat the translation. This is Lord Brahma's prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord, who is supreme and is the oldest of all, is unlimitedly merciful. I wish that he may smilingly bestow his benediction upon me by opening his lotus eyes. He can uplift the entire cosmic creation and remove our dejection by kindly speaking his instructions. You know, this verse, and particularly the purport, is far deeper than it looks at first glance. I read this verse, just kind of at a quick glance last week, just to have a heads up of what are we going to be speaking about in this session. And then I looked again last night, again, like a quick glance. But then this morning, when I looked at it, something else very much really, really jumped out at me. Particularly from the purport. You see, because Brahma, he's about to begin his service of creation. He's done his tapa, he's done his austerity, he has made his prayers, and he has glorified the Lord, and he has become really quite aware of the fallibility of having a material body, because Brahma has a material body. Brahma's body is also material. He has become quite aware of the fallibility of himself in relative to the magnificent opulence of even the Mahatattva before he's even created anything. And he has become overwhelmed by the beauty and affection of the Lord. And so, as he's become so aware of Krishna, he's making these prayers. He's asking for many, many things. And he's now come to this particular prayer, really basically asking for blessings and instructions. And it's the second sentence of this particular purport that struck me as being so profound. And then reading everything else in the context of that second sentence. Srila Prabhupada says that the whole cosmic manifestation is a chance for all to improve themselves in devotional service to the Lord, and everyone is meant for that purpose. We've heard so many times that material nature is a prison. We've heard so many times that material nature was created so that we could forget who we are. We forget who Krishna is. We forget our relationship with him. We also hear so many times that it's a place for us to play God, right? And by play God, I mean literally play God. It's like kids play doctors, or they play nurses, they play policeman or policewoman. They play mums and dads. They play, they pretend, right? So we hear that this is a place for us to play God. But here Srila Prabhupada is really reminding us that actually Krishna's purpose for creating this whole cosmic manifestation is a chance for all of us to improve our devotional service to him. He's always on our side. So, yes, one feels trapped here. It feels like a prison. Yes, we do. We forget who Krishna is. We forget who we are. We forget our relationship. And yes, we do get to play God. But Srila Prabhupada is reminding us that that's not why he really did it. He's reminding us that he did it because he's on our side. And he's made arrangements. And those arrangements and that purpose that underpins the whole of cosmic manifestation is that all we do is we increase our devotional service. He hasn't said we get devotional service. He hasn't said we find devotional service or we learn devotional service. No, he says so we improve our devotional service to Krishna, something that's always there. So Krishna sees this cosmic manifestation. For him, it's, okay, you want to leave me? Let's make the love go deeper. Let me create a place where we can make the love go deeper. I think it was, Gurudev, he had Bhakti Maharaj when he wrote Beggar 4. He was writing his prayers based on his realizations around cancer and his imminent departure. And one of them was, we bid farewell to connect deeper. So this sentence where Srila Prabhupada is giving us insight into Krishna's heart, that he bids us farewell so we can connect more deeply. He creates this cosmic manifestation in such a way that we can all improve ourselves in our devotional service, something we already have. And Prabhupada precedes this sentence with that the Lord is ever increasingly merciful. Ever is a shorthand for forever, for all time. But when we write ever increasingly, it means there is no beginning and there's no end. Yes? Ever increasingly. So it doesn't matter how long that time lasts, Krishna's mercy increases, increases, increases. This is the definition of unlimited. Because unlimited means always increasing. Yes? The word never doesn't compute, but the word always is definitely there. So he's always on our side, and he's increasingly on our side. And this is the purpose of all. The other part to the sentence was, this is everyone's purpose. We dispute, we fall out, we disconnect, we separate from each other, thinking we have different purposes. But Srila Prabhupada says, we're actually all united by the fact that this is everyone's purpose, is to realize that this cosmic manifestation is ultimately an arrangement that Krishna's made for our love for him to go deeper. And mercy, what does mercy mean? Mercy, it's an attribute of love. Right? When we love someone, when anyone loves us, they're merciful to us. But what do we understand by mercy? Some of the things that came to mind were, mercy being an attribute of love means that I will give more than I'm getting. So Krishna is ever increasingly giving more than he's getting. Mercy also means that I forgive more than I'm forgiven, even if the person I'm forgiving doesn't deserve it. So Krishna is also doing this constantly. We had a session on Saturday in our Sangha on how do I know Krishna loves me? And so much of how we measure love is so subjective. We don't often stop to ask, how does the person express their love? We want to measure the value based on how we receive it and how we measure it. And we do the same thing with Krishna. We've picked up so many different patterns and different types of ways of codifying and recognizing love and affection. Some in this life, some things we picked up many lifetimes ago. But they're all just constructs that we hold in our mind, in our subtle body, in our intelligence, in our false ego. And they often are contradictory to the way Krishna expresses his love. And even when they're aligned with how Krishna expresses his love, because of our self-interest and falsely placed self-interest, we don't recognize. We don't recognize. This is the problem with the illusion of forgetting our actual identities. We struggle to recognize. Just like if you see a friend in a distorted mirror, it's still the same friend, but the distorted mirror may stop you from recognizing your friend. So there's a distortion there. So in asking this question, how do I know Krishna loves me? First point here that's being made is that actually, he's made an arrangement where everything is geared towards deepening your love for him, but also deepening your awareness and recognition of his love for you. Srila Prabhupada goes on in this purport to talk about that he's this cosmic creation. He's given us so many ways to improve our devotional service, to a point where he even gives us the opportunity to experience the highest love, that peak of reciprocal enjoyment between the predominator and the predominated. See, if we think about it in terms of material relationships, none of us, very few people feel comfortable with the idea of being dominated, okay, or predominated. You may even read that sentence where Prabhupada talks about the predominator and the predominated, and it may make you feel ick, or it may make you tense up, thinking, predominant, what is this hierarchy? So many atheists talk about the hierarchy, that I just don't believe in this higher, because our experience of higher and lower in this world is not one of love and affection or reciprocal equal enjoyment. It's one of a discrepancy, of exploitation, of one has more than the other. But what we understand from the Rasa Leela, what we understand from the interactions between Krishna and his devotees, that this term higher and lower, predominated and predominator, are simply linguistic. They're simply linguistics, because actually the transcendental bliss that is experienced between the predominator and the predominated, and by both, is so joyful that even the predominator himself, even Krishna himself, wonders, how can the predominator be enjoying more than me? Predominated be enjoying more than me. And he has to take a birth as a devotee to experience that. Then he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we ask ourselves, how is he expressing his mercy? Prabhupada saying, well, first of all, even the fact that he created this place is an act of mercy, because he bid us farewell to connect more deeply by creating a place where actually we just deepen our devotion. He makes sure that he is everywhere. He makes sure he's in every atom and molecule. He makes sure he is recognizable, and even tells us how he'll be recognizable. Right? Whenever he comes himself or sends his devotees, whether he comes as an expansion or an expansion, or he comes as the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, or whether he sends his separated expansions or his associates, he's constantly showing us, okay, this is how we connect more deeply. This is how you'll recognize me. This is how you'll find me. And he gives us facility to find him. Look at the Bhagavad Gita, is replete with ways to see Krishna. You can experience him as the taste in water. Yes, the light of the sun, the light of the moon, the letter A. You see a lion, right? Of purifies I am the wind. So many different ways, even before we are willing to accept that Krishna is a person, because that is the ultimate in connecting deeply. When we connect with someone deeply, we have to accept that there is someone. Yes. So this question of, the opportunity to experience the highest love, the fact that we bid farewell to connect more deeply, this is Krishna's mood. Whether we left out of curiosity, whether we left out of envy, whatever reason we left, whether we left out of complete and utter stupidity. Okay, because quite frankly, envy isn't a good enough reason to leave. Neither is curiosity, right? We left out of stupidity. That's why we left. But he didn't create the facility because we're stupid. He didn't create the facility because he wants to see us suffer. He didn't create cosmic manifestation because he wants to put us in a prison house, or he just wants us to just be satisfied playing God. Prabhupada's very clear here. He created this entire cosmic manifestation so that we can improve our devotional service. And that is the purpose for every single living entity, from the tiniest little single-celled amoeba right up to a million-headed Brahma. And everything in between. It doesn't matter what time span or time scale we are moving in. And you know what's really powerful in this particular purport? There were so many things in this. That second sentence for me was like a aha moment, because it then also made so much sense of this very last sentence. The very last sentence says, Lord Brahma is entrusted with the management of the complete cosmic show. And therefore he prays that the Lord bestow his blessings upon him so that he may execute its purpose. Now that is so profound. Because when we are praying for blessings on serving Krishna, right? Please allow me to serve you. We often think about how shall I carry out the detail? I want to make it excellent in terms of the quality. I want to align it with my particular nature. We're often thinking about these kinds of things. But here Brahma's very clearly saying that, please bless me so that I can actually execute my service in such a way that it aligns with your purpose. With your purpose. He's already prayed in the last few verses. He's been glorifying the Lord, but he's also already prayed saying, look, he wants to be able to do this service in such a way that, or do creation or engage in creation in such a way that he is always engaged in the Lord's service. He also requests that he wants to not be materially affected. Please bless me that whilst I'm doing my service, I'm not materially affected. He also prays that please allow me to not be materially affected, and also give up false prestige. So, because I'm going to have so much, it's going to be so easy for me to think I'm the doer. So please, can you help me to give up false prestige? And please make sure that I don't ever deviate from the Vedic hymns. Please don't ever let me deviate from that sound vibration that keeps me connected to you and reminding me of you. But now he's saying, now bless me, so that as I take over the management of this cosmic creation, I do it in such a way that it aligns with your purpose to connect more deeply with all these souls, with all of us who bid you farewell. So this hearing, when we hear, that is the process through which we remember who Krishna is, but also through this process of hearing, we get clarity on what his purpose is behind all the different things that happen in our lives. In the 11th verse, Brahma, he describes how the Lord's devotees see him through their ears, through the process of bona fide hearing. And we have a very bona fide hearing system. It's super excellent. It's unbroken. We have the Jagat Guru. We have his books, his purports, his translations. And we can see even from this purport, he is very aligned with Krishna's purpose. But this hearing, the purpose of this hearing is, it also reminds us what Krishna's purpose is. Ultimately, he's on our side. And so everything that he's arranging for us is for that purpose, for us to connect more deeply. So do we align with that purpose when we are trying to follow his instructions? Or are we still just focusing on the superficiality? See, Arjun, he remembered. He remembered by hearing. He spent 45 minutes hearing from Krishna, but also 45 minutes questioning Krishna, clearing his doubts. And then, we talk a lot about 1866, but 1873 is also very important. I'm going to just read what Arjun says in 1873. Arjun says, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt, and am prepared to act according to your instruction." All of Krishna's instructions are for the primary purpose for us to connect more deeply, for us to embrace more and higher levels and more loving levels of devotion. This word illusion, I just want to select something from this purport. Illusion we know is moha, right? Prabhupada gives a slightly different take on moha in this purport. He says the word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. That which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of the material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. That is the moha. That is the illusion that is opposed to the real knowledge. The greatest illusion is not the magic tricks that we pay money to see. The greatest illusion is our misidentification, misplacement of our identity. When even in modern psychology, even in just human dynamics and sociology, we see people suffer greatly when their identity is misplaced. Yes? Or their identity is fragile. So when our sense of identity is very heavily placed on the things we have, the people we're connected to, or the opinions of the people we're connected to, it often leads to great distress. So Srila Prabhupada and Krishna are taking this to the highest level, saying actually, when you place your sense of identity in anything to do with any of the temporary aspects of yourself, body, mind, society, intellect, etc., you're going to be distressed. So if you hear properly, your memory of who you are wakes up. Your memory of who Krishna is wakes up, and also of his purpose, that the instructions he's given is so you can live in this world. So we can live in this world and follow his instructions in such a way that whatever we're doing, whatever we are executing, so maybe like Arjun, you might have to fight a war. Arjun had to fight a war, but he knew he was fighting that war and winning that war because Krishna had already told him, listen, the others, they're already dead. You're just an instrument, He was now agreeable to fighting his war, so doing the service for the fulfillment of Krishna's primary purpose for cosmic creation, which is to bring us all home. The Battle of Kurukshetra was just one stepping stone in Krishna's huge plan to bring us all home. Arjun is one person with one particular service in the master plan to bring us all home. And all of us are tiny, teeny little cogs also in the master plan to bring everyone home. And you know what? It doesn't matter how tiny your cog is, it's important. Have you ever looked at the inside of a watch? If you look at the inside of a watch, there's bigger cogs, medium cogs, teeny, tiny little cogs. Even if teeny tiny, little cog gets stuck, the watch stops working. Or it gets stuck, or it gives you the wrong time. So, yes, we are relatively insignificant, but that relative insignificance has great significance. Do we want to be the cog that moves smoothly and aligns whatever it is we're doing? You know, from homemaker to CEO, from temple president to temple sweeper, whatever it is we're doing, are we aligning our hearing and our service in such a way that it helps Krishna to fulfill his primary purpose for cosmic creation, which is to bring everyone home? Because yes, understanding how to operate in our various varnas and ashrams and the detail that goes with it, and how to operate within our particular psychology or particular physical constitution or a particular stage of life, those things are, yes, they are important, but ultimately in such a way that it facilitates ours and other people's ability to connect more deeply. So I'm just thinking, you were all such a thoughtful and deep audience. And I have till 5 o'clock today, UK time. So I have another approximately 20 minutes. I feel there's so much in this particular purport and so much to say about this. But it's a very heart-moving topic. It has certainly moved me that he's always on our side. I think it's such a profound thing to remember. I want to give time for all of you, for your comments and your questions and realizations. But this is such a profound thing to remember, because our vision informs our experience, and our experience informs our outcomes. So even a simple thing like understanding, or seems simple on the surface, understanding why Krishna created this cosmic manifestation, understanding the heart of the matter, can really change how we engage with it. When I was at medical school, we would have written papers, and we would have things called vivas. They were oral exams. And we were often told before the oral exam, don't worry, the examiners are on your side. They're trying to pass you. They want you to succeed. They want you to become a doctor. So they will do what they can to help you without giving the answers. So just remember they're on your side. And they would often tell us this, to help us to calm down, right? Because when one goes into a testing environment where it feels like the person or the situation is against you, we get disempowered and disabled by fear. And remembering that Krishna has created this cosmic manifestation for us to connect more deeply allows us to remember that he's on our side. And whatever he's designed for us, even if on the surface seems very testing, he is rooting for us like nobody else to pass. What does a pass mean through every test? Is seeing, how can I align myself with Krishna's purpose to bring me closer? How can I allow this situation, connect with this situation, connect with the different happenings, even the thoughts in my head, connect with them in such a way that it allows me to deepen my devotion. Srila Prabhupada says in one purport that the seeing God everywhere and in everyone is not the final word in self-realization. He says we must learn to see Krishna in every event, in every activity, and every thought that influences everybody else's lives, including our own. That detailed. So waking up every morning knowing that life has been designed for me by somebody who is ever increasingly loving me, by somebody who gives me more than I give him, by somebody who forgives me more than I forgive him, by somebody who forgives me even when I'm undeserving, because he understands before I've even upset him. I don't know about you, but it helps me, and I hope it helps you to live each day with a smile on your face, knowing that we are backed up always. So over to your glorious selves. Please share your comments, realizations, questions. We have about 20 minutes. Hare Krishna.
Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, as always. Thank you so much. So, dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, reflections, you may want to ask or share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask
What a
your question.
name, King Kusha. I love it.
Ken Kusha himself is in the building. Ken Kush, please,
Hare
you may
Krishna, Mother.
unmute. Yeah, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, my humble obeisances.
Please accept mine.
I want to ask you, speak about mercy of Krishna.
Mm.
So I want to be practical. The Air India that crashed in India, what is the mercy of Krishna in that?
Mm.
The whole family and children,
Yes.
father and mother, what is the Krishna's mercy in that?
Yes. It's very hard, isn't it, to see a loving hand where there's suffering. And, you know, especially when it's a very obvious tragedy. And we can see the very obvious, especially on a relational and human level, the untimeliness of it. The compassion and pain we feel for all those individuals and those that they've left behind is not to be minimized. It's not to be overlooked, and it's not to be ignored either. It's something that all of us can do something with. It's an opportunity for all of us to serve more, whether we serve directly those who have suffered because of that tragedy, or we serve indirectly by upgrading our consciousness so we can minimize tragedy and tragic events on this planet. The act of mercy there is, there isn't just one act of mercy in one sense. See, because Krishna is trying to do so many things with one event, so many things for so many people. One of the things he's trying to create is cosmic balance. One of the things he's trying to do is juggle all of our various desires and the outcomes of our different desires and our actions at the same time. But when there's a tragedy, it is a difficult time and perhaps not the right time to sit and philosophize. But it is a time really to see how we can serve, because we are Krishna's instruments. Yes, we are representatives. We are expansions. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are separated expansions, but we're still part and parcel of him. So his mercy doesn't have to stop at the event happened. Can we be distributors of mercy by being carriers of compassion? So, we can go through philosophy. We can talk about karma. We can talk about what could have preceded it. We can talk about all of these things, but these kinds of things don't, in the immediate sense, don't really help. Because when one is traumatized by such a tragedy, whether you've been directly involved or been an observer, it's traumatic, right? Varying degrees of trauma, because it's so sudden. It really gives a lot of people a wake-up call. Makes them stop and think that you just don't know when anything is going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen next. So in these situations, the philosophical is trumped by the relational. Yes, and we trump it through service, because actually Krishna's act of mercy is not just the event itself, like I said. It's what are the many reasons behind it, and what were the outcomes for each individual. We have a very short-term view on the outcome for each individual, just like Arjun did on the Battle of Kurukshetra, right, on the battlefield. He didn't think that the outcome of death for all of these soldiers who were standing in front of him, especially at his hands, was a very good outcome. He couldn't see how it could be favorable to anybody, especially not those soldiers' children and wives, and especially not even to himself, because he didn't really want to have the blood of his relatives on his hands. So it took time for him to really understand where Krishna was going with all of this. So if we remove one cog from a complex watch, we're not necessarily going to know why it's important. If it gets stuck, we might think I can just throw it away. It's just causing a problem for the rest of the watch. This is just a watch. Look at the whole of cosmic creation. If we think one event is a problem and we think that events like that shouldn't happen and which they should just be done away with, it's usually because we don't understand the value of it in the context of the whole picture. And so this is why verses like this is why hearing is so important, that we understand that actually ultimately his purpose is to remind us that whether that suffering comes suddenly or it comes insidiously and slowly, or it's even suffering that we expected and came with full knowledge, that suffering reminds us that ultimately our original suffering is that separation caused by forgetfulness. So, we could delve into the topic more philosophically and look at karma and why things happen, why do bad things happen to good people.
But because in this context, what is the role of collective karma of this Indian guy in London, IT guy, 4 years, went to India, brought his wife and 3 children, they all died in the flight.
Yeah.
In the flight. So what kind of collective karma is that?
Yes. I mean, we have 2 children here in our local area, 2 girls. They lost their mother to cancer a few weeks ago. The father got on this flight to spread her ashes in India, and he died on the plane. So they lost both their parents within a few weeks. So, the details of what the collective karma, I'll be honest with you, I think in one sense it's almost dangerous for us to try and analyze it, because whatever we come out with, it's never going to feel deserving. Whatever we understand about, okay, well, maybe Krishna was preventing something worse from happening, we don't have foresight into that. So it will just leave the mind and heart frustrated. So the fact that we can understand the science of entering a body and leaving a body is that Krishna says, that just like when garments become useless, a person puts on new ones and takes off old ones. So similarly, when a particular body becomes useless, then a person discards that and takes on a new one. So there must have been, we can trust that for each one of those individuals, whilst their presence on this planet may be very important for other people, for them to stay in their body any longer wasn't serving its purpose for them as an individual.
Yeah.
And so their time had to come then, because it wasn't useful. If you make someone stay in a situation longer than it's suitable for them, it's very uncomfortable, even if they don't know. So, for example, just think about it. When we were children, our parents would buy us new shoes, right? If you force your child to stay, if you've ever been forced to stay in shoes that were too small for you, you may remember, you may not remember the pain associated with staying in shoes that were too small for you, or pants that were too tight for you, or too short for you, or a shirt collar that you couldn't close the top button and would choke you when your teacher would make sure you had to wear your tie and close your top button. You may or may not remember that pain, but you remember the discomfort that a garment can cause when it's no longer useful for you. So now imagine if a garment can cause that much pain, imagine staying in a body that is no longer useful for the desires that you have for the rest of your life. So there is something about, for each of those individuals on that flight, Krishna had an individualized plan and an individualized act or purpose of mercy with each and every one of them. Although for us it looks like one big event that took everybody out at the same time, Krishna has a different reason for each person. That's how personal he is.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Gail?
Yeah.
Gail, you need to unmute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Krishna.
Twice in a week, Gail.
I know. I'm stalking you now.
No, you're spoiling me. It's wonderful.
Yeah, your talks are wonderful. Yeah, I had a question, but I just wanted to kind of follow up on this question. I don't know if it's a question or a comment I want to make, but I kind of feel like a lot of what we're doing here in this world is cultivating trust for Krishna. Trust that he has our back, that he's only acting for our welfare, So I think the more that we do develop this trust that Krishna is for us, the less doubt we'll have for when he acts like this plane crash in the lives of others, because because we'll be able to see, we'll be able to experience that trust as he deals with in our own lives. And so then it'll be easier for us to have faith that he is acting in an equally trustworthy manner in the lives of others, So, I mean, in that way, we won't have to try to figure out exactly how is this beneficial to, these tragedies, how are they beneficial to other entities? I don't know what you think about that.
That's beautiful. That's such a beautiful way to frame it, because that is essentially what happens to Arjun, right? When he says, okay, you've cast aside my illusion and I've regained my memory, right? He's basically saying to Krishna, I trust you. I trust what you've told me. I trust your intent. I trust what your plan is. And I trust you with me. So if I trust you with me, then I will act according to your instructions. And trusting someone means getting to know them, right? And the more we get to know Krishna and his devotees, we do start to trust him, because devotional life is it's forever. It's not just for now. It's not just for this week or this month or the next 10 years or even just for this lifetime. It's forever. It's our natural situation, natural position. It's our natural relationship with him is one of love and devotion. So we have, in one sense, all the time in the world to get to know him and to regain our trust in him. And you're absolutely correct, and it's so beautifully put, as we trust him more in our own lives, then we don't get so caught up in the detail of why Krishna's doing other things, especially with tragic events. But we also don't become indifferent. We also don't become heartless. But we're able to feel the pain for others, and at the same time do what we need to do to assist and serve, and also recognize that there's something else going on here that I don't necessarily recognize, but I'm here to support and I'm here to serve. So thank you so much, Gail. It was such a beautiful point. Thank you.
Is my time up?
You can say more.
No, yeah, because well, I like I said, I do have my separate question, but just to follow up on what you just said, you were connecting this trust issue to when Arjuna said, "Now my illusion is gone." I'm not sure how to connect this with that.
Yeah, sure. Because how is Arjun's illusion? When we don't trust Krishna, it's because we're under illusion. We're under the illusion that
Yes.
when we're disconnected from him. So his illusion is gone after he hears from Krishna. So he gets to know Krishna before he starts to trust him. Because he even asks him, he says, well, hang on a minute. You say you're God. How do I know? Right? One might say he's being a bit audacious, but he's being sincere. He's saying, you're telling me, I've known you as my cousin and my friend, and now you're telling me you're God. Okay, show me. Show me. He even says to him at one point, he goes, hang on a minute, you just told me that you gave this knowledge to Vivashvan in the past, but he's older than you, so how could you? And that's when Krishna says, well, both you and I have appeared many times, but I remember every single appearance. I've forgotten all of yours. So do you see, it takes getting to know about Krishna and hearing from Krishna to get to know him, to trust him in our own lives, so then we can, as you say so beautifully, trust him in other people's lives and with everything else. So yeah, that's how it's connected.
Okay, thank you. And last thing, I just want to confirm my understanding of what you were finding so profound about that second sentence of this verse. Which verse number is this? I don't remember.
3:9:25. It was the second sentence.
3:9.
Yes.
Yes, the second sentence in the purport. And what I remember was that what you found so profound was it that Krishna has basically made this material world to facilitate our coming back home to us, to him. Was that what you were?
That was it exactly. That moment of kind of the penny dropping, that actually it wasn't a place created to separate us. Yes, it was on one level because we asked for the separation. It wasn't just it's not just a prison house. It's not just a place of tests. It's not, yeah, those things are there. But actually for him, from his side, his purpose is it's a chance for all of us to improve our devotional service, to actually connect more deeply. Because, even we see this in human relationships, that parents will let go of their kids and give them the freedom to leave with the idea that when they come back, there'll be more maturity in their relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the Amish, right? Like they give them a chance.
The Amish have that, but I think even just organically, parents do that. There's a certain understanding that if I let my child go and go spread their wings, when they come back, there'll be a certain level of maturity and depth to our relationship that wasn't there before. Because if you speak to any parent, I don't know if you have children, Gail, but
Yeah, couple of
anybody, right? So in the beginning, up until puberty, they're kind of, you're literally like everything you do is an example to them. They hang on every word and hang on your skirt and hang on your trousers and everything. And then they go through a period where they want separation because they want to find their sense of who they are. It's a little bit, tiny, minuscule version of us going, well, hang on, Krishna, I want to go find myself. I want to be me, separate from you. But so Krishna says, okay, let's bid each other farewell to connect more deeply. This is, I will facilitate your departure, but his purpose is, I want to connect more deeply. Even if you want to separate for your independence, you do that. But I will set things up in such a way that actually you will want to connect more deeply and are able to connect more deeply. And if you look at healthy parent-children relationships, parents facilitate their children growing up and moving on. And actually, then when children grow up and they're in fully in adulthood, they look back and they go, you know what, actually, my parent loves me so much. They facilitated this for me. And the relationship becomes one of deep love and gratitude. Just like our relationship with Krishna.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So,
One more, is that okay? If there is,
yes, Hare Krishna. I have one question. Thank you so much, of course, as always. And my question is like a follow-up of Kusha Prabhu's question, and that is, there is one astrophysicist that I admire so much, but this individual is an atheist, and he gives reasons why he's an atheist. And one of his reasons is that those who are religious people claim that God is all loving. And if God is all loving, how does this God, who is all loving and at the same time almighty, sees some people go through hellish life? We say, like you rightly said here, that God is always looking out the best for us. I remember some time ago, Guru Devi Maharaj used to say, how does a husband claim that he loves his wife? Because in Africa, some places, a man and the woman will go to the farm, and the woman will be carrying the baby on her back. The woman is carrying firewood on her head and maybe holding on to one little child of theirs, and the man is just holding his machete following the woman. And Gurudev says, what is the love? The woman is pregnant, high belly, carrying a load on her head, carrying baby on her back, and the man is following behind, doing nothing. So what is the love? So Krishna, seeing all of us getting rotten in this material world, where is the love? When he is almighty, he can change negativity to positivity. So, I mean, we are trying to be devotees so we can have this understanding that where Krishna's plan. But how do we try to explain such situations to non-devotees?
So, one mistake I think we all make, atheistic or not, is we try to measure Krishna's psychology with ours. So, and if we're going to go down that route, one could then ask themselves, well, hang on a minute, human beings see other human beings suffer around them all the time. How much does a human being do to stop another person's suffering? If this astrophysicist was to walk past a fight in the street, would he intervene? You know, okay, he might say, I'm not claiming to be all loving and almighty. Okay. But if the reason we wouldn't stop or the reason we wouldn't intervene is because we're not all loving and almighty, right? But if someone's all loving and almighty, the one thing that they definitely have that we don't have, if we just even take it as on a logical level, is they have foresight. They know what's going to happen next. Not just a few minutes later, but a few weeks, months, years, and lifetimes later. So when somebody has a bird's eye view and they have so Krishna has perfect foresight, because to be all loving and almighty, you have to have perfect foresight, perfect hindsight, okay, and perfect insight. They all go hand in hand. So when you have perfect foresight, even if you have ability to interject, you don't, or you may not, because you may know the backstory as to why things are happening, and you may already know what's going to happen next. You know, just like if you saw a fight in the street, somebody else comes along in the fight and it looks like one person's attacking the other, when actually you from before know that somebody else started the fight. Also, you might have foresight because actually what you've clocked is the police are just around the corner. So you don't intervene because you have foresight and you have hindsight. The other person doesn't intervene because they're scared. Two very different things. Okay? So God isn't just almighty and all loving. He's also the reservoir of all knowledge. And because he's almighty and all loving, he allows us all to express our free will and enjoy or endure the consequences of our choices. Someone asked the other day as well, you know, in our session on how do I know Krishna loves me, they asked, well, if Krishna loves us so much, why hasn't he just removed all my obstacles so I can be with him right now? And I said, because our obstacles are our desires separate to Krishna. And because we have free will and he does love us, he allows us to pursue these desires, and he facilitates their fulfillment and the consequences. If anybody, even in this world, took away our ability to choose in the mood that, hey, I love you and you love me. You said you don't want to meet tomorrow, but I'm going to turn up wherever you are to make sure we're together. You'd call them a stalker. Especially if you've told them, I don't want to see you now. I want to see you at another time, and I don't want to see you at this time. You've made it very clear through your words, through your desires, through your expression of your desires, that this is not the time we're going to meet. It's not like you've told them, oh, I want you to surprise me. You haven't even said that. Right? You'd call them a stalker. So if Krishna was to take a drastic step, like remove all our obstacles to coming close to him and ignore the other desires we have, we'd be like, hey, hang on a minute. I'm not ready to come back to you. Why are you forcing me? You're not loving. You're just a crazy psychopath. Do you see what I mean? So, why you intervene? Okay, he intervened with this suffering, and then there was other consequences that happened. So nobody will recognize that he's loving, because we can't measure the inconceivable with the conceivable. If in this world somebody with a low IQ can't understand the mind of somebody with even a few points slightly higher IQ, how on earth can we try to unpack what? And this is not me being defeatist. It's logic. There's just no point in wasting it. Actually, just hear from him directly. Hear from his devotees. Get the answers direct from him. Why speculate on what Krishna wants when you can read his words to find out what he wants? Why speculate about why he does things when you can read his words about why he does things? Does that make sense? Why? We do this in relationships. Oh, you know, I think this person this, I think this. Well, ask them. Don't imagine, don't figure it out. Go ask them. If that relationship means anything to you, go ask them. Hear directly. So, yeah. Does that make sense?
Very much. Very much. The unfortunate thing I find, of course, I'm also involved and included, is that even though we have wonderful answers to practically every question people may have, but we don't make ourselves available as much. No, like this astrophysicist, he's talking about religions like Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, but I'm sure if he spoke to Hare Krishna devotee, he's kind of an intelligent man. He will feel convinced, but our public outreach is not the best. Well, we have Rupanuga Prabhu sent up. I know you said
Sorry, I just
your
want to
time
say
is
one
up.
thing. Yeah, I just
Okay,
want to say one
good.
thing on that. I think our outreach is brilliant.
Okay,
I think our outreach is brilliant. Look what Prabhupada's done in such a short time. He's
yeah,
empowered people who would never have even turned to Krishna, to turn to Krishna and make some attempt in sharing Krishna consciousness. It's not just a matter of our outreach. We can always do better. I'm not disputing that. We can always do better. We can always be more accessible, more available. We want to reach not just every town and village, we want to reach every profession, every specialty, give everybody a chance to remember. Not force, but give them a chance. However, this jiva has his own choice. And if he is repeatedly telling Krishna, I don't want to understand you and I don't want to know you, as Krishna says, knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness comes from me. As Krishna says, I'm the super soul in everybody's heart. When somebody has a particular desire, I cultivate their faith so they can, engage in the actions required to fulfill
yep,
that. So if he wants to maintain this thinking, Krishna will facilitate that. He will continue maintaining this thinking. In fact, this personality will seek out situations that will reinforce his thinking that Krishna is not all loving and that Krishna is not all magnificent, right? However, there is also the other side that, yes, we want to be merciful and instruments of mercy, and even putting a book in his hands, that will give him some sukriti. And it may fructify in this life. It may not fructify for another 10 lifetimes. Maybe he's already had that sukriti, and we don't know,
yeah.
right? Because we don't have insight into that. But I'm sure your good wishes for him will go a long, long way in helping him to, connect with someone or something. Now, I know Rupanuga Prabhu has his hand up. So I'm going to take this question and I'm going to caveat it with, I'm going to give you a brief answer and not one of my
Yes.
usual long ones.
Thank you so much. So Rupanuga Prabhu, please unmute yourself, please.
Nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Mata, for the beautiful presentation, and really very deep. And thank you very much to all the Vaishnavas. The point that you made, Sahadev Prabhu, is exactly the challenge. Is the distinction is that, it is the Sangha, this Sangha itself is part of a transcendental process because of the mercy of Guru and Puranga, Srila Prabhupada. The question that you raised around the question, that is something that I experienced when I moved to the Eastern Cape for 8 years. It's exactly the question that I had to try and unlearn and understand that challenge with a pregnant. And it's exactly, I saw exactly that in that village there. And I had to unlearn and try and understand that. And for me, the difference is that we are talking in this Sangha, and we're part of a transcendental movement. The point is that for those people there in that village around the question of those tribal things, when the man walks with a machete behind, that is part of that tribal structure. If that man go and associate with other men, then and if he helps a woman, it is not seen as being a man. So the point is that is this distinction that we need to keep in mind. So the idea is the outreach for in that case is to distribute prasad and to have harinam. Those personalities has not embrace the transcendental process yet. And that is the actual challenge in Africa, and the African preaching and outreach situation. That's basically just a comment. I'm not necessarily wanting to raise a question. I'm saying in terms of Africa's outreach is exactly on that level, and that is the core of that in terms of, because this is the golden age in Kali Yuga. This is the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, where anybody can be part of this, and this is our outreach, to be embracing them, to get to that stage, to be embraced by this transcendental pastime. But that is only after surrendering or understanding sufficiently to surrender, not only to chant, as Lord Chaitanya say, you chant, you can be liberated. But the point is that to be surrendered in the transcendental process itself.
Thank you, Prabhu.
By being initiated. That's all that I want to say. But in any case, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you. That actually echoes exactly what Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya said, that everybody should become a spiritual master for their people, the people they can relate to, because the people we can relate to, each of us, we're all different, but there are people who relate to our particular way of being, our ideology, our culture, our race, our intellect. And if we can share Krishna consciousness with those people, that is how it will spread everywhere. That's why Prabhupada would say we need millions of gurus, right? Guruship's not a function of just position. It's really about sharing Krishna consciousness, because ultimately every guru is a disciple. So whether it's Africa or India or the Middle East, even within those countries, there's different types of people. Yes, in some parts of Africa, Prashadam distribution and Harinam Sankirtan is going to go down a treat, but there's also going to be the intelligentsia of society who are going to want philosophical discussion. Yes, right? And then like you said, Sahadev Prabhu, the village culture, the tribal culture is a particular way. We need people who understand that the tribal culture is a particular way. Srila Prabhupada is compassionate. He knew American and British and Western culture was a particular way. So he gave Krishna consciousness in a way that people could practice, and we can practice, at this time, even simple things like allowing men and women to do all the same things, not being, as strict as he was in the culture he came from, in the way men and women were segregated. He knew that they would mess up people's opportunity to connect with the process. So time, place, circumstance, widely distributed for all types of people. There's not a one size fits all. The only one size fits all is that Krishna is for us and we are for him, and we all want to wake up to that as soon as possible. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute yourselves, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our deepest appreciation to our revered speaker, Her Grace Chidi Shakti Devi, for sharing her love and wisdom with us today. Jaya. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Vancha
Vanchakal
kalpa tarabhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Namo Namaha.
Vaishnavrinda ki
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Grace Mother City Shakti Devi
Jai
Dasi ki
Ki
jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna.